Hello and welcome to the Team VVV Podcast for all your weekly racing game rambles. I'm Martin, and joining me as ever is Kevin.
Hello.
And Alan.
Hello, viewers.
Hello. So, guys, we're probably the only gaming podcast right now not talking about Pokemon Go.
Absolutely.
Well, now you've said it, we are talking about it.
No, it's banned. We're not talking about Pokemon Go.
Steering clear of Pokemon Go. Yeah.
Staying well away from that. So, kicking off, I thought we'd kick this off actually talking a bit about some new bike racing games. Obviously, Ride 2 had the first proper gameplay trailer, giving us a first look at the supermoto class. What did you think of that, guys?
Well, personally, I think for me, initially I think the graphics and the actual surrounding area look pretty good. Models look good. I think that the only thing that immediately that caught my eye was the rider animation looked lacking. The riders look very stiff. They don't look like their bodies and their body weights are moving with the bike.
Bit of a common trait with Master games lately.
Yeah, it's not as bad in MXGP. I think the biker looks okay in MXGP comparatively, whereas the biker's not too good in the flat track racing that we saw in Valentino Rossi. I thought the rider was very stiff in that. And again, it's a very similar stiff-looking rider. So pros and cons is how it plays is the main thing. Kevin, what did you think?
Yeah, pretty much what you've just said. Visually looking good, plenty of trackside details, nice floodlights and sort of crowds and bits and pieces. But like you say, drawing comparisons to Valentino Rossi, the game, the Moto Ranch flat track racing stuff, it does give you a very similar vibe. You can see the bike leaning in, and the rider just sort of leans with the bike. Doesn't feel independent of the bike. Just feels like one entity, and it just has that sort of stiffness. And and also, like you say, MXGP didn't really suffer from that. Maybe a little bit when when you get into the air, but I'm a little bit. I'm not quite sure about this, but it might just be specific to the supermoto bikes. So we'll just have to wait and see.
You do sound slightly maybe underwhelmed.
Yeah, I don't like seeing the same sort of errors like we've seen in Valentino Rossi. I would like to have seen maybe a bit less stiff for the next game. It's nice to always see progress. You've always got to push for progress.
Definitely.
And, not quite sure if they've got it here.
Yeah, I'd say on the one hand there is small steps made from Ride 1 in terms of the engine, but we know they're going to go for 30 frames per second. Ride 1 had, if anything, it had poor loading times and poor frame rate. They were the two key issues on console that let it down. I can live with poor loading times if the game is good. But for me, the frame rate needs to be improved. That's something which it does need to be looked at. Ride 1 was probably the most fun I've had on a bike game for years. So I think, saying that, I did enjoy MXGP as well.
Bikes are the most fun I've had on a bike game in recent years.
Yeah, it was good, and it played well. So I think it will play well, but I think animation-wise, it leaves a bit to be desired. But let's see. It's an early trailer. The game's still got another. What's it got? 4 months development ahead of it. It's not out till November at the earliest, and we'll be looking to play at Gamescom, and hopefully I'll have some more feedback there for you guys as well.
I have to say as well, from the trailer, I don't know if it's final yet, but that has to be the most boring box art I've ever seen. Literally the front of a bike with a black background. I hope that's not final, but it surprise me.
Well, if there's one thing, dare I say it, milestone of, when it comes to their box art and their trailers, they've never really done themselves justice.
No.
I think it's fair to say the trailer guy, he's got to go. But it's as simple as that. I mean, some of the trailers have been awful, and they don't really show the best of their own games.
I've just seen the box art actually, Martin. Yeah, it's pretty shocking. If I was them, I would show off the best assets. So Nürburgring has got to be there on the front, very prominently, and stick a nice looking bike at the front. I mean, that bike looks a bit.
I mean, it could just be a placeholder, but I don't know. To show that in a trailer does seem a bit strange if it is.
It seems a little bit moody, a bit dark, doesn't it? It almost seems like I can almost see a face in that bike. I don't know if you can see it. You can see like two eye holes. It's almost like like a Batman game or something. It looks like a big face to me, but it does look a bit dark and a bit moody for a bike game, which should be bright and colourful and
catchy. The Ride box art wasn't that bad. At least it was actually art. It was an actual.
Yeah.
You know what you want? You want big bikers with lots of big bikes on the cover going, right? That's what bikers want. And a nice road for them to ride up. That's what they want. They want to see the bikes, see the riders, see the crew. If anything, if you had a crew of bikers going down a road together, that's what they want. Something like that. Not being moody and secretive about the package, but instead exploding the passion for biking out there.
Yeah, it's a bit dull from what we've seen. Again, it might not be final, but it seems like an odd move to me to advertise up some box art on an official trailer if it's not going to be final.
Yeah, I mean, looking forward to it though. Like Alan said, Ride for me as well was a solid title. Yeah, sure, the loading times were terrible, but once you got onto the action, it was good stuff. And I wanted to see improvement with Ride 2, and from what I've seen so far, it looks okay. But I'm really looking forward to this Nürburgring Nordschleife track. But we haven't seen any of it, so I'm not sure. Let's hope it's still there, because for me that's a big draw for Ride 2, definitely.
There's still a few months to go until the release, I suppose. But I mean, to me, Ride was almost like a spiritual successor to what's that? That's the one. Sorry, Polyphony's Tourist Trophy.
Like a Gran Turismo for bikes. Yeah.
They did pull it off. In fairness, it was plenty of licensed bikes, and it was quite unique in the market for the time. So it's good that it has at least had a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, except Tourist Trophy ran at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
I'm always going to go on about frame rate. This is going to happen. I like smoother games, and we'll see how my 2. But as I say, still a way off yet.
Yeah. I think it's not the best looking game in the world, so you do wonder what is preventing them from that. The sheer number of vehicles on screen.
When I asked that question, I did ask that question once a few years ago, and I said, why is it that we had MotoGP 09-10 was running at 60 frames per second, yet MotoGP 2015 runs at 30 frames per second. Why is that? And they said to me, well, it's down to lots of riders and lots of LODs. So where a car is a box with 4 wheels, when it's in the distance, a biker will always need more polygons to show biker detail. Well, that was their sort of excuse, if you like, to not pushing boundaries. But I think reality is that faster, smoother code and making sure that you're optimizing in terms of what the player's seeing is really important. And I think,
like you said, they pulled it off years ago.
They did it back on the Xbox 360, 60 frames per second on MotoGP games. So they did it on PS2. I mean, Namco's MotoGP on PS2 arcade 60 frames per second. It's very dated by today's standard, but it was amazing at the time. So I loved it, in fact, at the time. I thought it was brilliant. I really nailed it as well. Perfect. Every apex. I couldn't do that with a modern MotoGP game. The bike just doesn't go where I want it to go. But that's another story. I'm a noob.
Fair enough. So yeah, I mean, whilst we're still on the subject of bike games, actually, we've had a new release on Xbox One. When I say new, it came out over a year ago on PS4 and PC, but nevertheless, we have MX versus ATV Supercross Encore. Do you want to tell us a bit about that, Kevin?
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? It's come so far after the PS4 launch.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, it's a remake, isn't it, of the last gen's MX versus ATV Supercross.
Yeah.
So they've slapped the Encore on there. They brought it out for the PC and PS4 last year, was it? And we're only just seeing it now on Xbox One all this time later. So yeah, there is additional content compared to the standard sort of Supercross version. But it's interesting.
Just for the Xbox One version, isn't there?
Yeah, I believe there's exclusive content there, and it's interesting because it borrows content from older games, like open world areas from older games, as I understand it. So it's a bit of a sort of mixed bag of sort of MX versus ATV stuff. So yeah, there's 6 brand new tracks, it says here. So over 40 tracks altogether. So there's plenty of content there. 60 riders, but the new stuff for the current gen offerings is the rhythm racing mode, which is basically like a bumpy sort of drag straight with obstacles and jumps and bits and pieces. So it's interesting, but it's nothing. It doesn't seem to be anything revolutionary in this.
It does look a bit on the dated side.
Yeah, so it's not offering a lot for people that own the older version on last gen to sort of invest in the current gen version.
No, and also we already have MXGP as well, so you do kind of think what makes it really stand out.
Yeah, I guess where it offers, which MXGP won't, would be more of an arcade sort of fast-paced experience. I mean, MXGP 2 was fun, don't get me wrong, but MX versus ATV is a whole different level of speed and arcade sort of fun stuff. So.
Lots of jumps.
Yeah, lots of jumps. So it's got 12-player online mode, so there's something there. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many people actually make the upgrade from last gen that bought it last gen.
Yeah, the sort of handful of people that probably bought it last gen, because it kind of came out of, I don't think it had a lot of publicity at the time.
No, it's one of these sort of niche titles, I guess. It's probably got a cult following, but we don't know an awful lot about it because these are sort of titles that are easy to miss, you know.
But still, could still be worth a look if you're into your bike games.
Oh yeah, definitely. It does look fun. It's the fast-paced nature of it that sort of I'm interested in.
Yeah, we've been saying before, that's something that the bike racing genre has been lacking a little bit. Just that sort of speed, arcade, kind of accessible nature that previous generations had in abundance.
Yeah, I mean, this year we'll see the release of 2 arcade bike races. So we've got Moto Racer 4 and Road Redemption coming out in October.
2 very different games, we have to say, actually.
So a bit of a sort of a comeback there for the arcade sort of two-wheeled games. So, you know, it's interesting. It's a good year. It's a good year for rally titles. And it's a good year for bike games, I think, with all the stuff coming out. So we're seeing a bit of a resurgence now.
It's all going in the right direction as well. I mean, they're all getting better all the time. They're having to raise their game, and and I think, I think if you look at car games, for example, Gran Turismo's, doesn't automatically take the crown. Other companies are seeing there's an opportunity. Project Cars.
Although, admittedly, that's down as much to Gran Turismo themselves as their competitors, because they haven't quite got that premium feel that the brand used to have. But
it is, and it's the same with biking. It's still an open area, and Milestone have had it to themselves for some time. There's not many game developers that are coming out there showing what they can do with bike games.
And Drive Club Bikes kind of helps almost kickstart that a bit, because to me that was the best bike racing game I'd played in years.
Yeah, so much fun, wasn't it? So much fun, so intuitive. You found that you could understand the bike and put the bike where you wanted to very quickly and maximise those lines. And I think there needs to be more bike games that work in that sort of intuitive way.
It just really captured that adrenaline rush. I don't always get that with Milestone's games.
No.
It doesn't feel exciting somehow.
Yeah, especially the first-person viewpoint. And I remember I'd done a video quite a way back. It was like it started off in the evening, it sort of descended into night, and you had the rain. And the rain hits the windscreen, and you get this lovely sense of speed. You could feel, you could actually see physically the angle of the rain change as you get quicker. And it gave you that feeling of speed and danger, like you say. It was thrilling.
I miss Evolution.
Between that and Ride, for me, those were the 2 games that most fun I've had with bike games for a good few years now.
Yeah, Alex, it's good to see that. I hope you see that trend continue with Motor Racer and Road Redemption. I mean, those 2 games couldn't be much different if they tried, though, to be honest.
Yeah, and Motor Racer has VR support, doesn't it? So.
Yes, and then Road Redemption lets you batter opponents with baseball bats and. Love it.
Which one do you prefer? Smashing skulls in or VR? But have both.
Oh, right. So moving on, I think whilst we're still kind of talking about trailers. New trailer came out this week for NASCAR Heat Evolution.
Yeah.
Trying to sound excited, but it's not coming out here.
It's coming out in the UK, so we'll cover it in news content.
I mean, NASCAR titles really. I mean, they're big in the US. They don't really have the market in the UK, and generally they've been a bit dull. Frankly, they've not been the most exciting, technically amazing games. I mean. What Milestone are to the European bike fans, NASCAR is to the US NASCAR console fans, but it's got a huge audience in America. So it really is a massive audience over there. yeah, you know, I mean, at the moment, I did look at an early preview video. I can't say I've looked at many updates for it, but we'll see how it goes. If we can find someone in the US who's willing to cover it for us, we will. So if you're in the US and you want to cover something for us, let me know. But yeah, that's certainly something for the future.
From a technical standpoint, just looking at the trailer, the frame rate looked a little bit suspect to me. It didn't look very smooth, and that's in a promotional trailer.
Yeah, that's never a good sign, is it? But,
no. Is this? I assume this one's still being developed by Utechnics. I don't know who the developer is.
No, it's a completely different developer this time.
Yeah, right.
It's a whole
that's
new
positive
company.
then.
It's actually, I always find it strange that Utechnics develop NASCAR and they're not based in the US.
Yeah, it is an odd one.
I can see what you mean about the frame rate, Martin. The frame rate is a mixed bag in different
From what I've
shots.
seen on the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, so
It could be, it could be a return to form for the NASCAR games.
That's potential. I
It
mean,
has got a decent developer now, but
I can't remember offhand, but I think someone's involved with it that used to develop the EA licensed NASCAR games about 5 years ago, before Utechnics took over the license.
yeah, and they were pretty decent, weren't they? I think the prime era was the sort of early to mid 2000s for NASCAR.
Yeah, so I
And
think
back then they looked
from that era.
Yeah, back then I thought they looked visually stunning back then for its time. But you know, it's not a sport we get over here. It's not big here. It's very sort of niche here. But and you know, I mean, I could probably name 2 or 3 NASCAR drivers at a stretch. So
I struggle.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, there's also a lot of NASCAR races, you know, and keeping up with all the races is like. One year I made the decision, this is it. I'm going to watch a whole year of NASCAR, and and that was for VVV to get into it.
How long did that last?
Not many. I probably got about 8 or 9 races in, week after week after week, and I just said, I just don't have time for this. I've just watched Formula One, MotoGP, bit of touring car. And now on to NASCAR in the evening, and then they took it off TV, and you had to watch it online, and it was like, oh, forget it. But it'll be interesting to see how it comes out, and if we can get some footage on it, we will. But we'll wait.
I mean, to me, if I was to play a NASCAR game, it has to have good crashes, because that's about the only appeal of the sport to me.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to crash, Martin.
No.
That's what NASCAR's all about.
I'd like to get into it, but sadly,
it is. It's all about that sort of last lap dash, where everybody sort of
NASCAR is famous for its
pushes everyone
large-scale pile-ups.
Yeah, because mainly because I can't remember the official terminology now was, but a few years ago they were pushing each other along, and then they altered to bump the radiators so they couldn't get the air in to stop them doing that. But what would happen is that they would push each other on the final lap. They'd all go crazy, and then like one car would cross the finish line, everyone else would pile up. So there was quite a few instances like that. But either way, I mean, it's a hell of a spectacle in real life. It's just that in game form, though, it does require a lot of concentration because it is just ovals. So while saying that, they do have a few circuits like Canada. But we'll see how that turns out.
It's very technical, isn't it? It's like so you don't get that thrill because everyone's sort of relative to each other regarding speed. So you sort of inch forward or you inch back. It's a tough game to translate into the sort of video game medium, without it being dull for most of the market.
So I guess if you live in the UK and you do happen to be a NASCAR fan, there is still Forza Motorsport 6, which had the NASCAR expansion released a little while ago.
It did.
Not like any of us have played it, but
no, I did ask actually for some code or some access to it. No, so it's just no help from Forza these days, sadly.
Shame. Forza, that leads us nicely on to probably one of the bigger news stories. Forza Horizon 3's car list is being gradually unveiled. We've had about 150 cars revealed so far. To be honest, not many surprises. We're saying that it has a Volvo. Volvo 850R.
Right at the end there, yeah. They saved the best till last.
Oh yeah, good old Volvo, nice and reliable. No, well, I think the list is, like you say, some decent titles.
It's very Forza-esque.
Has a cracking list. You can bet there's going to be a ton of good cars. I'm looking more at the off-road vehicles. I think is where, in terms of expansion, new areas that can come in there. And of course, I think we're going to see lots of DLC in terms of cars available as well. So, yeah, I mean, either way, Spectre cracking package, and it still amazes me really that they can knock out every year there's a Forza title with that level of detail, that many cars,
quality.
I mean, you think Need for Speed last year with its no manual gears and no cockpit cam, and how that was considered acceptable by fans, I do not know. But I mean,
Forza series basically has quality and quantity, doesn't it?
Everything, yeah. So amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, it looks cracking in the trailer.
Oh yeah, I think it's safe to say it's one of our most anticipated game of the year so far.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the best looking game out at the moment, or when it comes out. And you have to realise that it's an open world game, and often you find in open world games, more recently with the Crew, they do take a pretty severe graphics hit in most cases.
I think the Crew did improve in fairness with the update. It was quite a respectable looking game now, but yeah, when it first came out, it was a little bit. Compare
the Crew with the update versus
a completely different game.
3. I mean, it's a totally different level, and and not only is it an open world game, but it's an open world game that sort of continues to expand its map size.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess you could argue the Crew has a larger map size, but obviously Forza Horizon 3 is still a pretty impressive size for what we've heard. Was it twice as large as Forza Horizon 2 or something like that? Or?
Yeah, and we saw a similar gain, I think, with 2 versus 1 as well in the last iteration. So, what they're doing is technically incredible.
And then a 2-year turnaround as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing work, and it shows the planning involved and how structurally bringing that together in an organised fashion, just showing the way it should be done.
Yeah. What was the total car list? Is it over 400 cars? I think
350, so probably about 370, something like that.
Okay, that's still incredible for an open world game. I mean, the Crew has about 50, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think basically anything over 150 cars is always a bonus.
Yeah,
and that's the way I see it in a game like
as long as they're higher quality models, over 100 is plenty.
It's not Gran Turismo.
No, that's where Gran Turismo got it wrong. They just wanted to give you quantity at the expense of quality. And I'd much rather have like what Forza offers with less cars, but then you've got the lovely Auto Vista mode, and you almost feel like you own these cars. You can sit in them, you can rev the engine, you can look around, you can learn more about these cars, and that's where
that's a lot really that Forza Horizon 3 has more cars than GT Sport out this year.
Yeah, I think GT Sport falls down in quite a few areas.
I think GT discuss in every podcast.
Yeah, I think GT7
needs it, honestly.
No, we don't hate it. We're looking forward to it. As expected, the car list, it reflects the sort of diversity that you get with Forza games. Lots of Ferraris I noticed on the list, which is good to see.
Yeah, and you've got the Lamborghini Huracan that was the cover car of Forza Horizon 2.
Yeah, got the 1957 250 California, nice.
Yeah,
that's me happy.
LFA, love that car.
There's some Jeeps in there as well, so there's a fair amount of off-road stuff. We've got some super light cars like the KTM Crossbow R.
Yeah.
As well, so it's pretty much.
The Lamborghini Miura's in it. Yes.
Nice. Muscle cars, there's Japanese cars, just everything you would expect basically. So we're looking forward to seeing more car reveals in the coming weeks.
I'm hoping the Lamborghini LM002 makes it the off-roader because they released
it. Huge, isn't it?
Well, they released it for Forza Motorsport, and obviously it seems like a better fit in this game.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be off-road. I like the on the website we've got the article there, and you can see the almost looks like a smart car, doesn't it, with these big chunky off-road wheels. One of those quirky cars that I like. But it does look a lot of fun. I can imagine going online with those and maybe using them as some car football mode or something. But, plenty of fun stuff. Lots of variety. Mm-hmm. There seems to be quite a heavy off-roader focus.
Yeah, I mean, we said before, it kind of has that almost motorstorm.
Yeah, absolutely. It does have that motorstorm vibe, definitely. I mean, if you think back to Forza Horizon 1, it wasn't quite an open world as such because you had sort of invisible walls, and they sort of opened it up with the sequel, Forza Horizon 2. And now with 3, they just seem to be saying, right, that's it. You can just go absolutely anywhere you want. You can drive in the water as long as you're not too deep, even. So they've
Quite a
brought
logical-
out these
quite a logical
off-road vehicles.
progression.
Yeah, it's a playground by playground games basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
I prefer. I have more fun playing that than Forza Motorsport these days, to be honest, because it's it's a more unique title in many aspects.
Yeah, I mean, Forza Horizon is a fantastic series, lots of fun. It's one of those games that's kind of hard to put down.
Exactly.
And, very much looking forward to the third.
Okay, yeah. So what else have we got this year? Well, we got F1 2016. That's really the next big game release during next month. News recently came out actually that from Encore's Master's blog about the career mode, going into a bit more detail. Yes, it actually has a career mode this time, unlike last year, and you can actually play for a whole 10 seasons this time, which is a pretty big improvement.
That is a huge amount of time. And if you ever played a F1 game, that's an awful lot of investment of time to get through even 3, 4, 5 seasons, but 10 seasons is going to be pretty epic. I can't imagine too many people actually running through 10 seasons.
That's a bit dedicated fan. It's like doing a Nürburgring 24-hour race on Project Cars or something.
It's pretty hardcore, I have to say. One thing that really excites me about F1 2016 was in previous games I would start with the slowest car and sort of work your way through up to the faster cars for your different contracts at the end of the season. But what I like with F1 2016 is you can stick with the same initial car, the slow car, if you like, and improve it through research and development, and actually turn it into a championship-winning car. So that, for me, that really appeals to me because I love taking something that's small or starting something out, building upon it, and turning it into a success. A bit like almost like RPG sort of elements applied to a car, where you just upgrade your character, or your car in this case, and improve it. And it's a good. It does. There's a what's the word? It's almost like addictive. It does have that sort of pull to it, that hook.
I know what you mean.
Well, they're like the issue you see in Formula One. It's a nice concept, but in Formula One, cars are different every year. Tracks are different. So, I mean, if you're going to run 10 years with the same cars and the same tracks, to me that's a bit dull as a Formula One fan. What I would like to see is, what would be brilliant is if you had a real 10-year. So you went back to 2000 and started in the 2006 season, and you had 2006 F1 cars, and then you complete your 10 years and you'll finish in, F1 2016. And I think that would be great because you'd have the different types of cars, the different challenges to drive them. You would become, a weathered driver, an experienced driver. You will have run all the Grand Prix just like your Formula One heroes in those different cars and conditions and everything else.
Yeah, so, it's true the classic content didn't continue really from F1 2013.
No, for me that was the big shame. I think the classic content was great. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. And yet, for whatever reason, they've decided not to move down that road, and I think it's a shame. I mean, I cannot believe the licenses are not available.
It took them years and years and years to actually get to a point when they could use them.
Yeah, and you've got some licenses there, more can come, and you could really build those earlier seasons. And I don't know, I think it'd be great to have an F1 Legends pack with cars from different eras, but also to have recreated 1991 season or something. For me, legends of motorsport, it would be wonderful to see a Formula One game these days, but alas, it's not going to happen for the moment, But I would like to see it one day.
Yeah, it says a lot of that. The career mode is actually a selling point of the game. Like, it's interesting. I guess you could argue the 10 seasons is quite a novelty for F1 fans. I'm sure you'll get stuck right into that, Alan.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but I certainly don't have the time for 10 seasons. I mean, I think you have to be. I don't know if I'd ever have had the time for 10 seasons. You have to be really dedicated. I mean, there is 20 tracks, that's a lot of races, and especially if there's tracks you don't like, and there's always tracks that you don't like.
There is. So, Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore is so repetitive and dull. I mean. Some people love it, some people love Singapore, I mean, we got
they are really trying to appeal to the hardcore fans this year. Like you got the controlled starts as well.
Yeah, parade laps.
Yeah.
All that nonsense now. Just
safety car.
Keep the new fan.
a bit more focused on the sort of research and development stuff and the hospitality areas, and they're trying to introduce that sort of feeling that you can feel what it's like to become an F1 driver, which I loved in the initial F1 2010 when it first came out. And we've just seen a sort of, there wasn't no real improvement on that aspect. So hopefully with F1 2016, it looks like they're going to improve on that, and that's sort of, like you say, they're appealing to the sort of more hardcore stuff and listening to the fans and what they want. Absolutely. So I think it's shaping up really nicely.
Yeah, I mean, that F1 2010, when you were in the paddock and having a wander, just seeing it, there was something that made you feel closer to the action. I don't know, F1 felt a bit more special to me back then as well. I mean, and it's great, to get fans closer to the paddock. It's such a elitist world when you're there. Even when you're there, it's sort of very surreal place to wander around, and dinner and lunches and everything else there. But it's a very strange just sitting there with the drivers quite casually. There's no security. Once you're in that zone, you can go pretty much anywhere you want. So it's nice for a game to try and give you that freedom of access to see your drivers wandering around and the media there doing their thing and everything else. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think there is great potential, but I don't think necessarily Codemasters have done much in terms of marketing it very well this year. It's coming out in just a few weeks' time, and all we've seen is a couple of hot laps, and I don't really feel they've.
It's pretty much what they do every year, to be honest.
And that's the shame. They're showing the same thing they did last year, and last year was a fraction of the game of this one. Do you think they'd have done a lot more? I mean, they will show you a career trailer and everything else, but it's so close to launch that in sort of launch terms, they're not really giving themselves the best platform for it. And I wonder sometimes how big the F1 market is now compared to where it was when it was on terrestrial television all the time.
It's also they're kind of banking on people just knowing it's coming anyway because it's an annual franchise, so they don't need to really market it that much, like FIFA and games like that.
Well, that's a concept, but I think that in reality, with so many racing games coming out all the time now, we've got F1, 2 weeks later we've got Assetto Corsa, 2 weeks later we've got Forza Horizon 3, a week later Motorsport Manager from Sega, a couple of weeks later WRC 6, couple of weeks later GT Sport, week later...
It's like GT Sport is living in a bubble, no other racing games exist.
My God, you've got all these coming out. It's just...
I mean, if you think more about the casual gamer, I mean, a lot of them not even going to think that F1 2016 will be coming out, because, like you say, there's no huge marketing push. We want to see the manual starts, we want to see the formation laps. Give us a look at all these new great features that you've got and have confidence in your product. Yeah. Show us what you've got. Don't just tell us.
You say the casual market. We had F1 Race Stars a few years back. Remember that?
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Just wanted to slip that in. Will we ever see a sequel to that? I wonder.
Yeah, it would be fun to see.
I don't see why not. I think it would have been a nice little, sort of arcade game.
Yeah,
and I think
it's fine for its time.
It was fine. Exactly. Well, but we'll wait and see with F1 when it comes out soon.
We were talking earlier as well about Ride 2's box art. I don't know what you guys think of F1 2016's, but I'm getting quite a lot of deja vu from F1 2016.
Yeah, that's big pictures of heads staring through your soul, isn't it?
It's very commercial, very clinical.
Yeah.
I think that's it though. That works. I mean, it worked last year for them. It will work this year. They don't need to invest too much in new things. It's get the drivers to sign off on it. Lewis Hamilton with a funny haircut. His fans all like that. Job done. So in a way, they're doing the right thing. They're using the stars of the sport to sell the game rather than the game itself, which is right.
It's just a very different approach to F1 games before that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, F1, I think the reason why, though, is because the sport has changed.
Exactly. It does kind of reflect that era, doesn't it?
The sport used to be, I felt, more about real racing drivers competing and everything else. Now the cars are very technical. The drivers really don't have a great deal of impact. Whatever any F1 fan wants to tell you, no one's beating a Mercedes anytime soon. And it's not a very natural sport in terms of, the way it's handled now, and everything's also far more commercial, So, I think the game's replicating the fact that also the customer has changed. I mentioned that in an F1 video a few weeks ago. It's a much younger audience. there's a lot less respect now. So if you look at Sky TV on the internet, to say that there's a bias, well, there certainly seems to be towards Lewis. They probably won't deny it. And I think that it's not good to have that. We're racing fans. These are all our heroes in the cars, and now it's like, oh, Nico's horrible or Lewis is horrible, and everyone's having a go at each other about it. There's no mutual respect that these guys are travelling at 200 mile an hour in cars doing amazing things. And I think because they're not doing the amazing things they were years ago. Years ago, and I'll give you an example as I go on to a little ramble here, but I remember chatting to someone at Silverstone, and he said, oh yeah, Graham Hill was setting up his car, and another Formula One driver said, look, I've got to go and sort something out. Would you mind taking my car out and setting it up for me? And jumped in another guy's car, drove round, and told the mechanics what needed to be done. How crazy is that? It's like Lewis jumping out of his car, jumping into Vettel's Ferrari, taking it for a spin and saying, you need to do this, this and this. Great. Cheers, mate. And that's it. There was mutual respect to the drivers. Another thing as well was that drivers needed to be older back then. They were around 40, 45. They were older drivers because they needed years of experience. So when they got in that car, they needed to know, that suspension needs to be tuned, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed. Then they had to get out the car and fix it with the mechanics. They needed that level of experience. Now, a driver gets in a car and he says, I feel some understeer here or whatever there. There's 20 mechanics and a computer system that does everything. The driver really doesn't need to know much about how their car works comparatively. Next to nothing, in fact. So now when you've got an 18-year-old in Max Verstappen able to win a race in a car, you say, with next to no racing experience in different types of formulas around the world, he's able to get in and win a race. That's when Formula One is just too easy. So I think that as the market has changed, so the games change, and now they cater towards that sort of niche or sort of younger audience now, the new F1 fan, and it's a very different experience all round. But we've got new F1 cars next year. I hope that we see a bit less in the way of the electronics in the car next year. I'm hoping against hope. I think the hybrid engines have been a disaster for the sport. They might be okay for them in terms of making money and car development, but in terms of the sport of F1, it's not been good, and it's been a very poor 3 years. And they've done their best to dress it up and make it seem exciting, but the reality is it's not been very exciting. It's been pretty straightforward, and it's, in a way, people hark back. We had a similar time to this back in sort of around 2001, 2003 when Schumacher was winning. He had a faster car than everyone else, and a teammate had to pull over for him. Those weren't good years, and then it got better in 2006. Now we're kind of there now, so maybe next year it'll pick it up. But either way, I think let's see how F1 comes out this year. I haven't had a chance to test the Red Pack F1 cars yet, but I will when it cools down a bit. It does get very hot in my rig. The weather's way too hot in London, but I will test that out as well.
You're listening to your rambles, maybe you want to watch Rush again.
Absolutely. What guys? I mean, balls of steel, and it's a shame because I was originally on the press junket to meet the guys, and I got cancelled last minute, which is a real shame because otherwise I'd have met all the actors and interviewed them all, and I was really trying to get that. But yeah, those guys, back then, the danger that they faced and the
that's unbelievable.
It was incredible, and I think these days, people are talking about bringing this new hoop around drivers' heads, and I don't think it's safer. I don't think it's what Formula One's about. And people say, oh, it risks lives. Well, I mean, how many lives would it have saved, really? I mean, Jules Bianchi went through a yellow flag and, smacked into a JCB, which people say shouldn't have been on the track. But then if that JCB hadn't have been there, he'd have killed 6 marshals instead. And I think that, so there's that to it as well. Formula One's always going to be risky. When you get in that car, you sign a document, and if you don't like the risk, if Jenson Button doesn't like it, he should get out, get into Le Mans where he thinks it's safer. More drivers die in Le Mans than have died in Formula One in the last 20 years and had bad accidents. So I don't think a windscreen would make any difference to Formula One. But I think that in terms of safety, the cars are very good. I do think the crowds push back too far. A lot of courses now, and even Silverstone have admitted they're going to build some grandstands closer to the track. I think grandstands should be closer. You want to be close to the action within reason. And I think that in some cases, some of the gravel traps. I mean, I went to Qatar earlier this year, watching the MotoGP, and some of the gravel traps were enormous. You know, I'm across a 50-meter gravel trap, and then another 20 meters from the track inside the barrier, and you know, they're just dots going around in the distance. You just can't see anything. I mean, even my camera at full zoom didn't really get much out of it. I think that we want safety, absolutely, but there also needs to be some on-the-edge risk for the drivers to push, to have difficult cars to control, where you need to use driver experience to understand, and where the team aren't controlling everything and setting everything up. It needs to be about the driver. They need to know how to set their cars up. When you play the video game, you have more control over your Formula One car in terms of your fuel than the real Formula One drivers, because they're being told and shown everything. And I think that's another thing as well, is, you know, making your own assessment of fuel gauge. Yeah, and another thing as well, is I've got to say, is this whole brake-by-wire system. You know, it's where you have a braking system that uses kinetic energy for the hybrid engine. It's a mess. Should never have been included in the system. And now we have traction control rear braking. That's the end of my rant. There we go. Carry on now. Some Formula One. So no, I love Formula One. I just don't like the direction it's taken. But I know an awful lot about it. I've met all the drivers. I've been in all the garages. You know, I've met everybody involved in Formula One. I've seen all sides of the business, and I think where it is now is it's in a different place. But I think the media's stirring it just to keep it going. Sky will, because they want you to subscribe and be excited by what you're seeing. But at the same time, I don't necessarily feel that its heart's in the right place at the moment. And,
no.
You know, we'll see. And I think where the game's concerned, I think, like you say, let's use the drivers, let's do it. I think Codemasters are doing a good job, and I think this year's F1 could be the one that everybody wants. I think it could be the best F1 game in a long time. But the fact they've not shown much of it is a little bit concerning, and they've not been sort of really showing it off, and that kind of makes me wonder why. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah. So, I mean, moving on then. I guess whilst we're still on the subject of Codemasters, actually, they have actually released a new game this week. Probably might have been under the radar for some people, but there's a new Micro Machines, but it's on iPhone. None of us have an iPhone, so we can't play it. Fantastic.
No, brilliant.
Looks good.
Release it on Android.
Yes,
please, because it looks decent. So we've got 10 tracks. We've got 4-player racing. 60 vehicles at launch. So that's a massive number. And you know, with Micro Machines, you do get a tremendous sort of variety of vehicles. So they're always fun to drive, aren't they? These little cars, all the sort of quirkiness to them. And 60 frames per second.
Well, there you go. That's mobile game is the way to go if you want 60 frames per second, apparently. Then
incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Alan will be pleased.
Yeah, absolutely. We love a bit of 60 frames.
We do, especially on the mobile. Wow.
We just need it on Android so we can see.
Yeah. So we can play it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on it.
Wasn't there another Micro Machines that came out on iPhone last year though? From my imagination, I swear there was one recently.
There's been a lot of miniature racing games in the last couple of years, 2-3 years.
I mean, it kicked off with Toy Box Turbos. So they released.
Which was Micro Machines in all but name.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, obviously, like you say, this year we've had super toy cars and tabletop racing, World Tour, and you know, there's been a couple. You know, and on top of that, you've got new Mantis Burn, which is a similar feel to it in terms of the looking down and.
So they all kind of owe a debt to Micro Machines. It's a bit like kart racing games and Mario Kart. They all kind of owe that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the old Super Off-Road and all that before then. You know, you go way back, and you've had your little games like that. But Micro Machines really just was the right package at the right time.
Yeah.
And multiplayer-wise, it really brought it together. So.
I mean, it was a bit of an acquired taste because you had to sort of race your competitors off the screen. So it wasn't traditional racing in that respect.
No. But it got so stressful and desperate.
Yeah.
What was brilliant on the Mega Drive back then was it had 2 extra controller ports in the actual cartridge.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of us had never played more than 2 players. I mean, hardly anyone had a multi-tap back then.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, playing that, I remember having great fun. They even had a mode where you could have 8 players, 2 people on each controller.
Oh,
as
wow.
well. But I never got to play that. But the 4-player mode was fantastic for its time. God, that was
For me, it was all about Micro
20.
Machines.
Yeah.
I was going to say, for me, it was all about Micro Machines V3 on multi-tap on the PS1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the game where I spent most of my time in the Micro Machines series, V3.
I think.
I loved collecting the different cars, you know, and you sort of level them up, don't you? I think if you collect more than one of the same or something. So
You do. I mean, that game just made me angry. So I got rid of it. It's one of the only games I got rid of just because it pissed me off. I can't remember what it was, but there was a few races in there.
Some really tough stuff.
Yeah, that really, really just pissed me off. And I just said, that's enough. That's just ridiculous, and got rid of it. But no, I was just going to say, actually, the Mega Drive, it was 20 years ago that it came out on the Mega Drive now. So, it's a long time ago. Is it 20 years? No, longer than that.
In 97, I think that came out. V3.
No, V3 was 97.
But
on the Mega Drive, it came out in 1994 on the Mega Drive.
I'm thinking PlayStation.
22 years ago that came out. Yeah, I remember launching it on the PlayStation. I used to work in a game shop at the time, and it sold okay, but it was launched in 98 as a Platinum title, one of the early Platinums.
Yeah.
And then it just flew out the door. Everybody wanted. Yeah, if there were games that flew, it was that, Rayman, Crash Bandicoot. I mean, those were just, everybody wanted them at the time. And yeah,
you know there was even a V4.
Can't remember it.
No, but there was by another name. They released another game similar under another name. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, the running one, wasn't it?
Micromaniacs.
Micromaniacs. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Micromaniacs.
Yeah. But no, there was an official V4. I don't think it was developed by Codemaster. I think it was published by them.
I can't remember at all. No.
Yeah, no one knows about that one, it seems.
Mm.
I didn't get it at the time, but I think it came out for PS2, PSP, and Nintendo DS at the time.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it quite caught on though.
No.
Compared to V3. And I think after that there was another Micro Machines game kind of as a reboot, just called Micro Machines, by a completely different developer. It's just gone off the radar ever since then.
Mm.
So I think I'm right in saying this is the first Codemasters developed one since V3.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, so it's good they've got the license back and retracing their roots a bit.
Hopefully we'll see it on the current generation consoles as well, because they dipped their toes in with the game. Was it Toy Box Turbos, wasn't it?
Yeah, Super Toy Cars and Toy Box Turbos and Tabletop Racing.
Say that 3 times quickly, yeah.
No, probably not.
And so, it'd be nice to see Micro Machines back on the consoles, wouldn't it? After all these years.
It'd probably sell given the kind of resurgence for mini car racing.
Yeah.
But I think Tabletop Racing World Tour is the one to beat at the moment, though, personally.
Yeah, it's a solid game. I think they've got a DLC coming up, 2-track DLC apparently, so we'll probably get some details on that very soon.
Yeah.
There was something on that Silverstone rumour as well.
Yeah, allegedly Silverstone, and I imagine it'd be another track for the other one. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Indeed. Right, I think then let's just finish up then with some indie stuff. We like our indie games. There was a recent update for Formula Fusion, the kind of Wipeout spiritual successor. It was supposed to come out round about next month, but it's now been delayed until next year, so hopefully they'll be polishing that up quite a bit. I think the company's had a bit of restructuring and all this kind of thing, but I do think that is one to watch. I think there is definitely a lot of potential there. It's a bit rough. It's in Steam Early Access at the moment. It's a bit rough around the edges, but you can certainly see the potential there. And we're just waiting for the next update, which promises to be quite substantial. I think they're introducing multiplayer. There's more craft, more tracks, updated graphics, improved physics as well, which is one of the areas the game's lacking in.
So. Yeah, and that's the end of the week, isn't it? That update is due.
It's supposed to be the end of the week, yeah.
So
I didn't
Thursday,
mind the handling too much personally, but it kind of.
Yeah, for me it was too rigid. They weren't floating on air. They were just solid. And the tracks were a bit narrow, and they weren't flowing through the corners, so they need a bit more flow, a bit more that floaty Wipeout feel, and we'll see how it turns out. But it's almost
like the perfect tribute to Wipeout, because you spend all your time just grinding against the walls because you
Yeah.
get hitting them.
Yeah, it wasn't great. So it needs work. Let's see how it develops.
That was pretty much my Wi-Fi experience as a child. I could not play that game at all.
It required a lot of practice, didn't it? You have to sort of turn before the turns come to you and use your air brakes as and when needed. But it's definitely a difficult title that you needed to really invest a lot of time in to become good.
Yeah, 10-year-old me couldn't quite grasp that at the time.
I actually put a lot of time into Wipeout, and I beat the UK champion comfortably, and I got done in on a competition that they wouldn't accept me. I was 3 seconds faster a lap than the fastest guy in the UK, and I was so quick that I could actually complete the entire game on Rapier in one sitting without touching a single wall. And I was that good.
Modest as ever.
The reason why I was good at it was because when I got my PlayStation, I couldn't afford any games or a memory card. So I had no memory card for the first 3 months of owning a PlayStation.
See, that was the thing back then, wasn't it? You had maybe 1, 2, 3 games a year, so you got really good at them.
Exactly, and what it is, I sold.
I missed that.
Well, I sold a lot of my games. I had no money. I had a friend of mine lend me a second-hand Wipeout, so I had no games. All I had was Demo Disc 1 and a PlayStation.
Demo 1?
Demo 1. And so what happened is, consequently, was I just played it like for hours and hours and hours every day. I just became like really, really good. I was just wanted to be good because I loved it so much, and I did. I broke through that barrier and became really good at it. And it was just like, this is the racing game I've been waiting for, and just the flow and everything. And yeah, the finding the right route on the snow icy track was the hardest one in the game. But once you got the hang of it, you found the right flow and the right route to take. You got used to it. It's all about good use of air brakes. And in the end, it just became natural. I couldn't play it now because I just don't have the flow now. No. But you really was in a flow. Maybe I will do a video at some stage. But those skills. There are times, when I look back on my gaming years ago, and I think, wow, in the 90s, some of my gaming was awesome. Some of the stuff I played, and I played it so much. And nowadays, I look at them and think, how the hell did I play those games? I mean, I was playing an emulator the other day. I was playing a Revenge of Shinobi on the Mega Drive, thinking, wow, I could do this game in one sitting, because you had to. There was no save point. You had to complete the game in one go. And now I just don't know how I did it. I mean, it's just like so hard. So,
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
It's amazing. Like when I was 16 or something, you can dedicate more of your time and your energy differently when you're younger playing games. But no, I digress. Talking of which, actually, Martin, let's crack on with the next one. What was it? Virtua Racing, Racing Apex.
Oh yes, So it's been confirmed that Racing Apex, it's a kind of inspired by the game, 3D games like Virtua Racing, things like that. It's now been confirmed for Wii U, which is a bit of a surprise because it's not even been revealed for PS4 or Xbox One yet. But I mean, for Wii U owners, I think that should come as a welcome relief. I mean, wow, a new racing game on Wii U, that's not happened in some time.
Well, especially after immediately after the disappointment of 90s Arcade Racer, we suddenly have that. So that made it
kind of makes up for it, really, because they're both kind of inspired from, well, not quite the same era, but that kind of classic coin-up Arcade Racer style.
Yeah.
We're quite looking forward to that. We're still waiting for the PC demo at the moment.
Yeah, that PC demo has been in the works since, I think it's March.
It better be good now.
They've been building it up, but it's plenty of content and stuff. It has a focus on sort of weapon-based racing, but you can race without the weapons as well, which a lot of us were probably more interested in. But you never know, the weapon stuff, it may be good, but it's got upgradable cars and it's got all these bits and bobs thrown in, sort of. So it's more of a sort of modern twist on the sort of polygonal racer. And
it's not just a homage, it does.
Yeah, and I think that's key to success for these games. And usually we hear about games that have been cancelled for the Wii U, but to actually see
quite a long list. It's quite depressing for Wii U owners. If you are listening and you have a Wii U, there's a racing game for you.
There is.
Yeah, what we have with Project Cars cancelled, that wasn't really surprising. And obviously 90s Arcade Racer, and also Red Dead Redemption has, it's not been officially cancelled, but they're kind of re-evaluating how they're going to continue with it, mainly because of the NX coming out next year.
Yeah,
yeah.
a transitional
We'll see what
period.
happens there.
We still don't know what that is, so hopefully we will find out at some
It's
point.
shrouded in mystery. What else have we had with indie games? Racecraft, that's having a night racing update, I believe.
Yeah, no details on when, but there has been a recent update
Yeah, they've been kind of kicking out the updates here and there on that.
Yeah. So seemingly it's going to stay in early access till early next year, and you know, we'll have to see more of it as it develops.
I will get back on it. I mean, I tested it. I didn't make a video earlier on because I felt that it still needed work, and they are still working on it very hard. It's got great potential though, so some really good ideas going into it. It just needs to all be brought together by the developers. Now that, as ever, they're working really hard, and like you say, we'll just see how it develops. But Formula One cars with headlights, it's just what you need. So we'll see. I will get back on it soon and see how it's progressed.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. They're kind of procedural generated tracks and all that. But yeah, it's just whether or not the execution is there, I suppose. So we'll see on that. Right, so I think just to finish off then, we have a new trailer for Bears Can't Drift. That is the best name I've ever heard for a racing game.
Yeah, Bears Can't Drift, ? Exclamation mark to give it its full title.
Okay, yeah, to be precise, yeah.
And it's basically
Bears Can't Drift.
yeah, it's a fun-looking arcade kart racer, isn't it? It's almost like Mario Kart on steroids. It's so fast-paced, and it gives you a great feeling of speed. You've got your power-ups there as well. So on the surface, so far, it looks like a lot of fun.
I have to come clean now. I have actually played Bears Can't Drift.
Have you now?
I have. Yes.
You've had the pleasure.
I have. Yes, at EGX this year.
Awesome. How was that?
Good fun, actually. Yeah. I mean, credit where it's due. I mean, it is, as you can probably tell from the aesthetic, designed for children primarily, but there is a fun little kart racing game there. And I think what was most interesting, I met the guy who developed it. It's just one guy.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He had a bit of help, I think, from another artist, but he's a university lecturer in his full time, and he does this as well. But yeah, he's obsessed with kart racing games and wanted to see them brought back. To play, spend hours and hours just playing Crash Team Racing, Mario Kart, Speed Freaks, all that a lot.
I love the art style, and
yeah. He's tried to make a game that just combines them all.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I think what's most interesting about it is that it doesn't actually have any menus. The entire game is made with no menus. And
I think that was because he didn't have very much programming experience, the developer. So he sort of worked on his strengths.
He told me it's because he wanted it to kind of hark back to old games where you had these kind of hub worlds that you drive around and explore.
Yeah, apparently there's like 3 hub worlds or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's a potentially good kart racing game there. If you could get past the kind of childish aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean it's PS4 and PC.
I would say, looking at the trailer, it's a shame the trailer runs at 30 frames per second.
Frame rate again.
It doesn't show the 60. But again, it's a detail. When they've programmed it to run at that speed, film it properly. My goodness, frame rate really annoys me when I don't see it being used effectively. So yes, 30 frames per second trailer. The actual game, it looks okay. I'm not so keen on the whole moving the kart further away from the player as it's going faster technique. I generally like to stay a certain distance behind my kart or car. I think there's a certain consistent stability you need in gameplay, whatever the game is. It worked on Mario Kart. The kart is right there. It doesn't move away from you because that alters your judgment. And so that's the only thing that I've seen that I'm just a little bit concerned about at the moment. But other than that, looking very nice. And it's an aspect of the genre I enjoy immensely.
Exactly, yeah. Right, is any more news, guys?
We've had recently we had the first couple of Porsche models teased for Assetto Corsa.
That's true, yeah. It's quite early renders of it so far, but...
Yeah, we had like a clay render of the Porsche 93578, which looks stunning.
Yeah.
but it's only a clay model, so no textures yet. And we had like a very teasing shot of what I believe to be a Porsche 718 Boxster. So a couple of Porsches there revealed. Apparently there's going to be 2 Porsche packs coming for Assetto Corsa, and it's going to be both classic and modern Porsches. So there's going to be something for everyone there.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what else they're going to reveal, and of course we'll keep everyone updated on the website.
Yeah, so Porsche's making a comeback in racing games at long last. Good to see.
Yeah. I mean, people say that it's only EA that have got the Porsches, but of course that's not true, because we've had Porsches over the years with Forza Motorsport. But definitely, we just haven't seen enough.
It was
Porsches.
such a waste of a license, I think, for Need for Speed.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember in Need for Speed, I think it was the run. Like, you had about 2 or 3 Porsches, and like in the very first cutscene, I think you see one of the Porsches get crushed in a car crusher. That's how you lose. That's how you use the license.
Yeah, it's horrible when you're held back by sort of licensing stuff, and I don't want to see another period where you've got 1 or 2 games that are having Porsche or any other sort of manufacturer that we love, and it's not good. But hopefully, the future's brighter for Porsche in the racing genre, and hopefully we'll see more and more games coming out with some Porsche stuff.
Oh, I have some news actually. Alan, I finally bought Doom.
Yay!
Was it because you played the demo?
It's actually because Gamer's selling off the collector's edition, and I'm a sucker for collector's editions.
Yeah, they're selling it off dirt cheap, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's $39.99. Bear in mind it was £120.
Oh wow!
So they're just desperate to get rid of them. So I happily took it off their hands.
Well, I just while we're talking about that, one good man, amazing graphics, 60 frames per second. The other thing I'll talk about is very quickly. There's I can't remember the name of it now. There's a training on Tatooine demo that's been released for HTC Vive this week.
Oh, I saw that.
So it's pretty impressive. If you put your headset on and you have the intro, which is all sort of you're standing in space as it's sort of hovering around you. Then you're on a planet, and the Millennium Falcon comes and lands almost on top of you. You feel like you're going to get flattened by it, and then R2 comes out. You fix something on the Millennium Falcon. My Han and Chewie have a go at each other, and then after that, R2 gives you a lightsaber, and you're a Jedi, and the music kicks off. It's great, you're hitting the laser bolts as the stormtroopers come at you, and then it's over, and you don't actually get to chop anyone, which is a shame. But I would say this: you've got to wear your wrist strap when you do it, because you're spinning your saber around. I'll make a video on that anyway in the next week. I'm going to be doing some HTC Vive stuff, just catching up on all that very soon, which is still fantastic, by the way. VR is amazing, and I look forward to when you guys are testing VR as well when the PlayStation VR comes out. But either way, very cool.
Say, please port that to PlayStation VR, please.
Just before we wrap up, Martin, do you want to say a bit more about the giveaway that we've currently got underway?
Yes, of course. Yeah, we've got quite a great giveaway this week. We're giving away a Thrustmaster TMX wheel for Xbox One and PC.
Nice.
All you have to do is follow our Twitter, retweet the post, and subscribe to our new newsletter. And you could be in a chance to win a Thrustmaster wheel. Because everyone knows racing games are better with wheels.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do get onto that.
If you're an Xbox owner and you've got Assetto Corsa and Forza Horizon coming out, no better time. I will say, do have a go at the competitions, because you've got to follow, retweet, and subscribe to the newsletter. You'd be surprised how many people don't follow those rules exactly.
Yep.
So I mean,
we try and make them as clear as possible.
Exactly, you're well within a chance of winning that wheel, I tell you. So great prize. It gets people into it, and as I say, we'll see how. It's got another week, hasn't it, Martin? So
I believe the deadline is July 31st.
Right,
yeah,
so there we go.
Sunday, July 31st is your deadline.
Yeah, so get stuck in. You all have a very good chance of winning. So I'll say that. I think that's about it. Really, do like and subscribe.
Oh, you beat me to it again.
Martin never says it, and ideally we'd say it
I will say
in the video rather than at the end. It should be said at the beginning. But that's all good. And other than that, Martin, I think that's about it for this week.
Yeah, I think so. So six episodes in. 6 episodes in. I still haven't said like and subscribe at the start. But maybe next time. So I guess that is it from us now. Thanks as ever for listening. Do like and subscribe again. Just had to say it again. And we'll see you again next time.